We now have a better understanding of how functions work and how to change their inputs. Now we are ready to look at the slope equation using function notation. For a linear equation, y is the output, m is the slope, x is the input, and b is the y-intercept. We've learned that another name for y is f of x, since y is the result of x being transformed by the function f. So we can write our linear equation like this. Let's try to generalize the slope formula using our new notation. First, I'm going to pick an arbitrary point, x, on the x-axis. If x is my input and f is the name of my function, then its output is f of x. So this point's coordinate is x f of x. Now what I'm going to do is choose another point on the x-axis that's not x, but is a distance of h away from x. If x plus h is my input, and the name of my function is f, then its output would be f of x plus h. Since my output is the result of x plus h being transformed by f. Now let's find the slope of this line using these 2 points. The denominator can be simplified. So now we have our slope formula written in function notation. This is often called the difference quotient. Note that since h is in the denominator, it cannot equal 0. Let's try some examples. If our given function f of x equals 4x, and they want us to find f of x plus h, this means all they want us to do is change the input. I'm going to take all my x's out of my equation and instead replace them all with x plus h. Now I just need to distribute the 4. If f of x equals 4x, then minus f of x would just be tagging a minus sign on the outside of my function. Minus f of x equals minus 4x. Step 3, all I have to do is put step 1 and step 2 with each other. At this point, things should cancel out. Here, 4x and minus 4x cancel out, leaving us with just 4h. In step 4, we take what we got in step 3 and just divide it by h. So 4h divided by h is just 4, leaving us with our answer. For step 1, they want us to change the input from x to x plus h. This means that wherever I see x in my original function, I replace it with x plus h instead. Now I have to distribute that 3. Step 2, if f of x equals 3x plus 7, then minus f of x equals minus 3x plus 7. Don't forget the parentheses here. If you forget the parentheses, you're going to distribute wrong. Step 3, all I have to do is combine step 1 and step 2 together. At this point, things should cancel out. So minus 3x cancels out with 3x, and 7 and minus 7 cancel out, leaving us with only 3h. Step 4, I take my result from step 3 and I divide it by h. So 3h divided by h is just 3. Step 1, they want us to change our variable from x to x plus h. But we have to be careful here. There are multiple x's in this equation. Make sure you change every single one of these x's to x plus h and use parentheses as needed. The first thing I'm going to do to simplify is distribute this minus 4. The second thing I have to do is expand this binomial. Remember, x plus h squared is just x plus h times x plus h. Step 2, they want us to find minus f of x. So if f of x equals x squared minus 4x plus 7, the first thing you should do to find minus f of x is put our original equation in parentheses and tag a minus sign on the outside of it. Then distribute that minus sign. Make sure you changed all the signs accordingly. Step 3, all we have to do is combine step 1 and step 2. Again, things should cancel out here. X squared cancels out with minus x squared, minus 4x cancels out with 4x, and 7 cancels out with minus 7. So we're left with 2xh plus h squared minus 4h. Last step, step 4, we take what we got in step 3 and divide it by h. Step 1, they want us to change our variable from x to x plus h. Again, be careful, there are multiple x's in this equation, so make sure you replace all of them with x plus h and use parentheses as needed. The first thing I'm going to do to simplify here is expand my binomial. Then what I'll do is distribute the 3 across. At this point, I could take away the parentheses from x plus h if I wanted to, since addition is commutative. Step 2, they want us to find minus f of x. Again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my original equation, throw some parentheses around it, and tag a minus sign on the outside. Then I have to distribute the minus sign. Make sure you're changing all the signs accordingly. Step 3, I just add step 1 and step 2 together, and hopefully things cancel out. 3x squared cancels out with minus 3x squared, x cancels out with minus x, and 5 cancels out with minus 5. So I'm left with 6xh plus 3h squared plus h. And the last step is to take my result from step 3 and divide it by h. So I'm left with 6x plus 3h plus 1.